Yeah, so people all over the world love Lakrids by Bülow. But in this room, who likes licorice? Okay, and no shame, who hates licorice? So we can see, this is not a sort of a presidential election. You don't all need to love it by design, right? It's about finding the people who really love licorice in order to bring them in and foster a very strong connection, right? And make them loyal fans of the company. And when you look at Voyado, Voyado is all about helping retailers make like lifelong fans and help make it easier for brands to be able to be loved, right? And then it's not about being loved by everybody, but being loved by the loyal fans and knowing exactly who that is. So before we pass on to Michael and have Michael tell you about all the great stuff that they're doing at Lakrids by Bülow, we would just like to quickly introduce you to Voyado. And in a nutshell, what we do is two things. Number one, search and merchandising, meaning making the e-com journey nowadays relevant, highly relevant, right? Because we live in an era of instant gratification. So like my 60-year-old dad browses on TikTok and Instagram and his attention is gone like that. So how do you make sure that you always show the right content, the right product, and deliver the right search results in real time to offer your customers value and to make users into customers? And then the second thing is loyalty-first marketing automation, right? So I'm going to ask you, what is marketing automation without loyalty, right? When you're communicating with your customers, you're trying to build meaningful value, and every interaction that you have with your customers should be of value. And the only way you can do that is by knowing about your customers, knowing the different segments, and really understanding them to help them with their customer journey. And if you look at those two things, or those two key functions, that enables Voyado to help our customers optimize along the entire customer lifecycle. So it starts with customer acquisition, right? Sending hyper-personalized messages to people that are not customers yet, to users. And once they're drawn in, and once they convert, we want to keep showing them the right content, right? So if you go out and you buy Lakrids, or you buy an iPhone, maybe you also need a charging cable with the iPhone, right? Or you need AirPods. So you want to show them the right things to not only get them to convert on one product, but to get them to convert on everything that's relevant to them and just showing them the real things. And once they're customers, it's all about keeping them loyal and retaining them. And that means, if I buy something today, I don't tomorrow want a 30% discount, right? Or maybe I do, but it's for you as a business to be able to decide, how do I nurture that relationship? If it's a premium sweater that somebody buys, maybe they want to know how to nurture that sweater to keep that alive longer. And that's what it's all about. And by completing the cycle, we believe we can really foster meaningful relationships. And so when you talk about search and merchandising, again, it's all about relevance, and loyalty-first marketing automation is all about the relationship with your customers. And today, we're going to focus, though, on the loyalty aspect, because we call it a sweet science of loyalty, right? And Michael will tell you all about Lakrids by Bülow's amazing story, and he will deep dive into what Voyado, and partially Voyado, has done for Lakrids by Bülow. And what you can see here are sort of the benchmarks, the conservative benchmark numbers, right? So what does a loyalty product do at the end of the day to your bottom line? Well, more contacts, more purchasing frequency, and higher basket sizes. But I'm just going to say that those numbers are conservative. It's a conservative benchmark. And Michael will now tell you all about his story.
Great, thanks a lot. And thanks a lot for having me and inviting me to come here and talk. Just a quick show of hands. How many of you knew about Lakrids by Bülow before coming here today? Great, love that. That's at least a higher penetration than our brand awareness in Germany so far. So I'm happy to see that. Just briefly about me, I've been with Lakrids by Bülow for about 7 years now. Started doing some e-commerce, and then my responsibility sort of grew over the years. And today I am responsible for the digital sales, the digital acquisition, so paid advertising, and also IT and development. So kind of a broad scope of responsibilities, but I get to play around with all sorts of exciting projects. But enough about me. Let's talk a little bit about Lakrids by Bülow. So we are a business that we did not invent mixing chocolate and licorice together, but we did invent making it sort of into a chocolate-coated ball like this. It's something that Johan Bülow our founder brought to the world about 17, 18 years ago. And that's really what brings us to this place where we're at today. I want to bring a little bit of a bragging slide because we actually have some metrics that we are super excited about. We're made in Denmark, 100%. The factory is just on the outskirts of Copenhagen. And we have world-class loyalty. When we ask, we typically get 10, 15, 20,000 responses on NPS surveys, and we score a 79 last year. We're B Corp certified, and one thing that we're particularly proud of, which I'm going to talk about today, is of course our community. We built a base of about 750,000 people that receive our newsletters, and out of those, just short of 250,000 people opted in to become a Lakrids lover, and that's of course what we're going to talk about today. We're a brand with a little more than 40 stores, almost 20 of those here in Germany and 4 here in Berlin. So we're super excited to be sort of almost, it feels like home a little bit. We're also excited to be 100% recycled and recyclable packaging in our jars. So we have one overarching mission as a company. We really would like to make the whole world love licorice. And we would like to do that one licorice at a time. So the big challenge of any brand is increasing brand awareness. Getting people to know about you, selling the product, making a really good product is extremely hard. But we have that extra layer of challenge, is that most of the world thinks they hate our product, which is, I can tell you, is a challenge to convince people. We like to look at it as lovers and haters. That's also why Kolja talked about lovers. But we ran a brand platform campaign a couple of years ago. We started it. It's called Shared with a Hater. I'd love to show you just a little bit of how we approach that.
Hello world, look at this.
Oh God.
In Denmark, we're surprised to learn most people around the world hate
Maybe
licorice.
we can turn up the sound a little bit.
We're gonna give you the last thing you want. Free licorice. We will send anyone a pack of a gourmet licorice for free. If you promise to share it with someone who hates it.
I cannot stand licorice.
I'll try anything once.
يا دام من الدنمارك بيكون زين.
Virtually كذب. شكله.
It's delicious. استغفر الله من عمة الله ما المفروض ما أقول شيء بس أبدا ما عجبني.
Yeah, not everyone's gonna love it, but this is Ying and Ronnie, and they're good with numbers. They calculated if we start sending licorice out now, 84% of the world will love licorice in
412 years, 292 days.
That's dumb.
Yeah, you're probably right. How many licorice machines do we have?
We only have one licorice machine.
Our licorice is handcrafted.
It takes up to 48 hours to make one piece of licorice.
It is stupid. That's why we're gonna need you, India, and Brazil, Kenya, Russia, all of you. Sign up to get your free licorice at WeMakeTheWorldLoveLicorice.com and share it with a hater.
Yeah, so we were super happy about that. And for the eagle eyes out there on the last shot, the people waving, I was just on the bottom right corner there. So fun to be part of that production. And everyone in the video is actually employees at the factory in Copenhagen. So And for the really sharp ones, Johan Bülow also did a brief cameo there in the end. The results were amazing. We got 125,000 signups to be on this waiting list. Some people were, signing up for getting samples and were aware that perhaps it was their grandkids that would be receiving these licorice samples, because it does take a long time to send licorice to the whole world. We got millions and millions of clippings and views all over the world, and it was a raving success for us. We could measure a 2 percentage point increase in brand awareness in Germany, and as you know, with 80 million people plus, 2% is quite a lot. Enough about that. Let's talk a little bit about our story and the back before I talk about Lakrids lovers. So we were founded. We were like a true manufacturing founder story. Johan Bülow is a guy who was 23 years old. He was looking at his uncle's drops factory. It was like, this licorice product, maybe I should make it a gourmet experience. So he started cooking up some licorice in his mother's kitchen. And after a while, he opened a small store in Bornholm, which is an island just off the coast of Denmark. And it was a raving success. Licorice is popular in Denmark, but it was the first time someone really made a gourmet version of it. And he quickly opened a factory in Copenhagen and then started selling it. This happened around 2007, 2008. In that process, it's always been super important for Johan, but also the business, to be sustainable, to take care of the planet that we're on. So that's why we also spent a lot of time getting a B Corp certification, which we got about a year ago. We're really excited about, of course. About that, we're going to talk a little bit about assortment, because that helps explain some of the loyalty concept that we do. Our assortment really consists of two streams of products. It's a permanent collection, and a limited edition collection. So we tie well into these seasons or seasonalities of the year. It goes from love to Easter, the summer, and then the winter, which is of course one of the most important times of the year. A limited edition drives more than half our sales, and that freshness, because we don't do any discounts, product discounts across the website, we need that freshness. We need people to come back for new experiences, and we focus immensely on that. And Lakrids Lovers, our loyalty program, is an integral part of this journey, and I'll come back to that in a little bit. We're of course also really excited about our stores. We try to make them an experience. It needs to be minimalistic, delicious. We need to have the product, the food appeal, and all the stores are in what we call AAA locations. We want to be in the places where people that care about great products and great flavorful experiences, that they come and that they have as their destinations. So this is our Bikini Berlin store. We have a Tivoli store, which is quite iconic. It's right next to the stage, for those of you who've been there. There's an Osterhaus in Hamburg, right in the entrance. We have a flagship store in Nybogarden in Stockholm, which we're really excited about. Okay, enough about Lakrids Bülow as a company. Let's talk a little bit about loyalty. Because loyalty is, of course, something that is hugely important for us. We love, getting those haters convinced. But once we've convinced them, we really want to have them stick around and, of course, purchase and buy more and have a good experience. And we try to bring them into our universe. And the way we do that is by trying to create the world's biggest or best taste panel. We want to get as much input from people, especially because our product is such a novel product, such a new experience for many people. So to be able to convince the world, we need to get the opinion of the world. This is a picture of Franziska. She's our head of product development, and her lab at the factory. If you ever come to Copenhagen, you can buy actually a ticket and get a factory tour, and also visit the creative lab and potentially taste a few things that you've never tasted before. But the Lakrids Lovers is really an integral part of the way we develop our products. So you saw the limited editions before on winter, summer, etc. But we also do a limited edition, ultra limited editions. Those are what we call Lakrids Lovers products. We launch them 4, 5, 6 times a year. We launch them on own channels, and a few select wholesalers have now been allowed. I think we have about 100 all over the world that they need to buy into the concept, and they need to be part of that for at least a year or two. So we introduce the product, And we sell a limited batch. We collect a lot of feedback. We have QR codes on the product. We send people the email asking for it. We have different types of surveys in store. And we bring that feedback in to evaluate the result. And if a product is popular, it might come back into our permanent standard assortment. It might have a seasonal comeback. Some products come back for some seasons over the years, and some are not successful. We have lots of these Lakrids Lover editions that are not necessarily hugely popular. And then we go again. So it's 5-6 times a year. And some of these products were Lakrids Lover. Some of the permanent assortment we have now was Lakrids Lover's products 6-7 years ago when we started this. So of course, this is hugely important. We also built a few years back a Facebook group where we collect a lot of this information. We ask people, we have 12,000 members of this Facebook group. People come with all sorts of quirky, weird ideas on a daily basis. And that is, of course, brings a huge amount of ideas that we can bring to the world. And people actually feel like Lakrids lover. I mean, I have people coming up telling me, hey, I'm a Lakrids lover, and I'd love to share some ideas I have with you, which is, of course, amazing. So how do we actually work with this loyalty from a tech perspective? Because we're also at an e-commerce expo, so maybe you want to know a little bit about how we do that today. We're on a relatively simple tech stack. We've taken a journey over composable commerce for many years and had a very advanced headless setup up until about a year ago, and sort of grew into a place where we got a little bit decision fatigued, a little bit overwhelmed with all the integrations that we had to build. And we decided to just, well, not dumb it down, but simplify our lives a little bit and depend way more on vendor-supplied integrations, vendor-supplied products. So we spent a couple of months in the spring, 3-4 months, migrating over to BigCommerce. In that process, we also implemented Voyado, and that's when we became a customer about 7 months ago. And we really enjoy some of these vendor-built integrations. It's just anyone that has tried on something like BigCommerce or Shopify, just activating an integration and enjoying the fruits of that versus building, maintaining your own payment integration, for example. It's not a lot of fun. It's not where you really feel you're moving the business. So today what we really do is we try every day to make it as simple to become and be a Lakrids lover. Voyado and BigCommerce and Cito had some Voyado-built integrations. Voyado Cito was literally a 2-hour configuration to get that up and running for all 40 stores. And for those of you who tried building POS integrations into CDPs or whatever, you know that that's almost like a unicorn. Like, it doesn't happen. It was so easy. We have all sorts of different flows where we make it easy for people to come in as a Lakrids lover. It's QR codes on products. We have QR codes or links in store. The first screenshot here is just a flow where you sign up in a store. We have a QR code placed in all emails we send if you are a Lakrids lover. So when you come to the store, we make it very easy to present and identify yourself. You don't need to say anything. You just show the phone, and the POS scans the code. You can, of course, also search out your email and phone number, all that if you want to. But this is a very, very easy way, and most customers just have it on their phone. And we also present customers when they log in with a QR code and their customer number on their phone, so it's very easy for them to present themselves. And so you might ask, do people actually do this? And yes, they do. 44% of customers, February this year, to date, identified themselves. And that's because it's easy, but it's also because they're part of Lakrids lovers. And when they're part of Lakrids lovers, they get samples, free samples of things that they can't buy. So last year we had about 15 different Lakrids lover samples that people could try, and they could not buy them. So they could give us feedback on them, and then again, the product cycle returns. So some of the things that we do with Voyado is, of course, we collect some data in there. It's a CDP as much as a marketing automation. We can collect different activities, of course, transactional data, but also interactions with various touch points that we can send into Voyado and use for triggering different activities, which makes, of course, the consumer journey simpler. We can send the right information to people, whether they're an online or an offline customer. We automate a lot of this on Voyado. Has a nice automation flows, visual builder, so it's easy to work with. And of course, these different touch points, there's many different touch points. We have, of course, a retail store transaction, but we also have something like customer service, and we have people handing in empty jars in some stores to get a sample of licorice of something they can try, which is sort of like a return process to get these jars back. We get more of a unified view of the customer in Voyado, which we're really happy about. It's nice to be able to look at a customer, see what happened on this customer, what kind of customer are they, and what kind of interactions do they have. And of course, then some real-time engagement is possible. Voyado has a very nice and easy to work with API, so we've been fairly happy with that. So, has this even had any good results for us? I can tell you that it really, really does. Kolja showed some fairly conservative, modest numbers, but when we look at Lakrids lovers, on average, they have a 12% higher basket size, which is nice, of course. They also have a 61% higher purchase frequency, which is really nice. We're pushing more and more people to buy more often, which results in a last 12 months value of Lakrids lovers versus non-Lakrids lovers with an uplift of 80%. And 80% is huge. That's when it really starts to, you really start to feel the value of these people. And when you combine it with these NPS scores and you have people coming up to us telling us, oh, I'm a Lakrids lover, I love the product, you really feel the power of engaging people in this way. So we have two loyalty schemes. One is, well, not schemes, loyalty programs. One is Lakrids lovers. The other is our product itself. And I really hope you enjoyed the sample as well. We got more up here. Yeah, that was it from me.
I hope we have some new Lakrids lovers today. And as Michael mentioned, right, so loyalty for them has had an amazing impact, at least like a dedicated loyalty program with Voyado. And if we lived in a perfect world where it was super cheap to acquire new customers, it would still be a great idea to invest in loyalty, right? But we don't live in that world. Like, we've been talking about it for years, that customer acquisition costs have gone up and are increasing. So it's always cheaper to keep an existing customer than to find a new one. And you can see what the loyalty impact, the impact of loyalty has on various KPIs. So I don't think there's anybody here that disagrees with the impact that loyalty has, right? And I think Michael's example today really just illustrates like the practicality and the like how important it is to map your actual strategy, your corporate strategy, your marketing strategy to a loyalty program, right? You're not every company is going to run an earn and burn loyalty scheme, right? Others are going to run like a sustainability scheme. Like if I buy a Patagonia sweater, I get a lifetime warranty on it. And you have to identify, how can I maximize customer lifetime value and match that with the values of my company. And that's what Voyado does with over 400 Voyado customers. For instance, Jack & Jones, I'm sure everybody knows Jack & Jones here. They use like an earning scheme, right? Then other customers like Nudie Jeans, they use that sort of sustainability approach in loyalty. And we continue to do that. We're going to fight for our customers to help them delight their customers. Thank you so much. And before we start into the Q&A, feel free during the Q&A to scan the QR code. And 3 of you might be very lucky to win something that you can either enjoy eating yourself if you're a lover, or maybe you give it to a hater and you make them a Lakrids lover. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ramiro Murguia. Coming originally from Mexico, but I'm working in Austria. So, not related to chocolate. Actually, I'm not a chocolate lover. But Voyado can help us to automate licenses for industrial software for an industrial software company that they are like they can do that, this automation? Voyado? Makes sense, the question, actually?
Yeah, makes sense. So
Okay.
maybe tell us a little bit, like 30 seconds about your company. Like what is it? What's your business model?
Industrial company, so we are working for, we are in every kind of industry, automotive, energy, super B2B. So
Yeah,
we
so-
are not selling chocolate whatsoever.
Yeah, we're a retail-only focused company, but you can definitely find vendors out there that will help you automate and engage in a meaningful way as well. But we focus solely on retail, just so that we can make sure to, keep the product evolving in a meaningful manner.
Hi, Julia from Her1. You mentioned that you implemented surveys at various stages of the customer journey. And if, I would need to decide to take action tomorrow and to implement the first survey tomorrow, which one would you recommend to implement? Where do you get the most insights from?
I mean, if you have the transactional integrations, those are important, of course, into your whatever e-commerce platform, e-commerce system you have. And of course, the POS system is also really important. So I'd say if you wanted to decide where to start, it's where you have the most activity and the most sales, of course, where you get the most bang for the buck. I'd say so. If you, let's say you're 60% retail, physical retail, then start there.
Okay, we are only online business so far. So then, yeah, okay. And the second question, you mentioned Facebook group as like one platform for your community. Do you have any other community areas or I don't know, groups?
Yeah, no, we don't have like a forum or something like that, a discussion forum or something like that. It's something that we're contemplating, maybe at some point. But no, we don't have that. The Facebook group right now is the main source of discussion and activity. And it's also quite active. You can search it out and find it. And
okay, thank you.
Hi, Tomek here. First, congrats, because the sweets were really good and I was the hater. One question, because you were talking a lot about the technological stacks, let's say services, external services that you use to increase the loyalty. Did you, apart from the technology, apply any changes to a branding, communication? Was like a parallel process in terms of business strategy, or just implementing the technological stack that you were describing?
When we migrated the websites, we did create a new design guideline, but it was based on the product branding and the product design mostly. We wanted to make some changes. We have some more organic shapes, some rounded edges, for example, and some different coloring. But we didn't make a lot of changes on the branding when we implemented Voyado, except all emails we send out. If you're not a member of Lakrids Lovers, you get one sort of design and approach, and you get another one if you are a member. So the communication varies between the two. And of course, the activities are very different. You get different activities when you're a Lakrids Lover, of course.
And maybe one more question. Did you observe any changes in lifetime of your customer? Did they spend a bit more time with you?
Do you mean when engaging on Lakrids Lover or the platform?
I'm asking about the customer, because we are talking about the loyalty, so probably some of your customers are returning to you. Did you observe that this timeline when they are returning to you extended, or is it the same?
Well, it's extended towards other instead of other customers versus other customers, but they buy more frequently. And they return more often. I mean, they return more often. So yeah. I mean, it increases all the metrics for sure. But that's the loyalty program that does this.
And maybe one more question to your friend. Do you think it is somehow applicable to the services, like the recurring services, the subscriptions, etc., or is it just focused on products, personal brands, etc.?
How would you define services? Are you talking about a services business, or are you talking about a services model within like?
So we are in the VAT and accounting area. So also loyalty, lifetime with our customers is super important for us. The question is, if solutions like this are rather applicable to the products or also this kind of services?
Yeah, I think 100%, but I would look at, process before technology in that instance. And you're thinking about customer lifetime value, whether you're in B2B or B2C, it's important, right? And then you just have to figure out what are the touch points that create value for my customers, for our customers, to pick that, and then, find a scalable tech stack that will help you on that way.